Duncan McDonald is many things.
He's there to give you a lift when you need a lift.
He's a good motivator.
I think he's almost omnicompetent. He's very precise in what he does.
Just a good professor and a good person mainly.
Just a vibrant teacher, really energetic. Students knew how much he cared.
You know, it may not just be this, he cares about you and me, he cares about how it all impacts everything.
And when he asks about you or your family, you know that it's not just passing the time of day, it's not just a courtesy.
There's nothing more important to Duncan McDonald than students.
I know for a fact that I wouldn't be where I am today without Duncan. I probably wouldn't even have graduated without Duncan.
He encourages others.
And he did hold their feet to the fire, and that was a good thing.
He's actually a person that pays attention.
It's an attribute that you can't fake. You either are that kind of person or you're missing a dimension, and Duncan certainly is that kind of person.
Just a good, solid human being.
Duncan McDonald, Dad was in your class. Must have been 100 years ago. Me, myself, decided I couldn't pass, 'cause everyone said, you're kind of a hard teacher, and I wouldn't go.
I think his background made him very determined to do things a certain way and achieve things, and he didn't really, I don't think, want to stay in Cleveland. I think he wanted to branch out, and he knew that probably at a young age.
He grew up in a very rough neighborhood, just was the underdog at all times, and he never thought that he would be successful at all.
He had a scholarship to go to Northwestern, and it was a scholarship for the law school, but he also had a scholarship in journalism to go to the University of Missouri. He got in his car, his little Volkswagen Beetle, took off on the highway towards Chicago, and thought, okay, I don't know which place I'm going, but I could go to either. And for some reason, the car kind of went to the left, meaning it was heading down to the University of Missouri. I was going to graduate school there, and two of our best friends knew us and fixed us up. In the midst of it all, we did get married, and he did go to Vietnam.
Duncan's service in the Vietnam War might not be known by many people, but he was in boats in the Mekong Delta in situations of very extreme personal and professional dangers.
I walked into his office, and here was somebody who looked like he'd stepped off the pages of GQ.
Duncan's fastidious appearance speaks for itself. There's never seemingly a hair out of place in his coif.
It's never out of place.
He cared incredibly about our language, about the English language, and about writing. And it really didn't matter which course he was teaching. Excellence in and precision in the use of language was always at the forefront.
Duncan is consistently remembered by students for being an extraordinary teacher, and a teacher who holds standards, demands students meet those standards, and yet year in and year out loved by his students.
It's kind of tricky to live with somebody like this who kind of was like a rock star.
He's so good with young people, and it's like he's never gotten old.
He received the university's Erstad Award, which has a very coveted history involving just really the best teachers at the University of Oregon. And at an early age, he won that teaching award. So that said something about his devotion to the classroom and to his students.
Duncan McDonald became dean of the school at a critical moment. He was able to really launch us into the world of fundraising and development in ways that we had not been to date. The university hadn't been prior to that time. And at the same time, maintained again this focus on students and on teaching that is really central to the DNA of the School of Journalism and Communication.
He was a hard teacher, and he really worked them hard. But most of them would come back afterwards and say, this was what it was all about.
The first couple papers in his automatic F policy were, it wasn't a fun time in the beginning, but it motivates you to work harder.
So Duncan McDonald really taught me that I could fail and still succeed.
I'm glad they came back, because sometimes, he worried. And he would grade all their papers. Even if he had help, he'd say, I want to know these kids. So that's why he wanted to end his career that way, is back in the classroom, where he just felt like There was just this interchange and this thing that probably fed him as well as he was feeding the students.
And he's also involved in our community, and so he's been in Volunteers in Medicine for quite a while.
A group of us came together to set up this clinic so that low-income people, who are mostly the working low-income, would have access to health care when there wasn't any other clinic available to them. It was just such a godsend that he came and offered to help, and then stuck with it for years, and then now is back as chair of the board.
I guess quality is what signifies Duncan in his work, whether in teaching, in books that he's written, whether in administrative positions as dean at Oregon or as a vice president of the university.
He's a world traveler, has been to Africa a lot. He's done photography throughout the world.
He really did an enormous number of things in his career, and the lesson for students would be, look at all the stuff that you can do, and that you can keep a focus.
And he has never lost that focus in anything that he has done throughout his years at the university.
I still can't believe a kid from Cleveland could be that sophisticated, but he does it.
Congratulations. You truly deserve this, and
I just want to thank you for all that you've done for the school, for the University of Oregon.
You've been one of my best friends since we've lived here, and you've made this community a wonderful place to live.
There's nothing higher than the praise of one's own colleagues, one's own peer group, to say, you've done well.
Well deserved, Duncan.
You contributed mightily to journalism in Oregon, to journalism education in Oregon, and nationally as well.
I love you through all of this, the ups and the downs, and I'm certainly glad we kept our perspective.
Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations.